Today we've got a roundup of 10 pieces of EDC gear, all under $50. Not much else to explain beyond that, so let's just get straight into it with the first item. That is the TomTok 4-liter sling, now made with XPAC. Both this sling and TomTok as a company are a great example of why you want to speak up about things that you don't like about the products. Let your critiques be known so companies can continue to iterate and improve on their products. That is exactly what's happened here with the TomTok Sling. I got so much hate in the comments for having negative comments about the previous iteration of the TomTok Sling. You know, I really hated the logo. I thought it just kind of had that mass manufactured sort of like freebie at a work event type of item. TomTok had actually reached out and said that they made some improvements and changed the logo on their sling, and it is so much better. It really wasn't that dramatic of a change for them, but just those couple of tweaks make all of the difference when you're someone that cares about intentional design or functionality or certain fabrics. This is a pretty simple sling. It comes in at 4 liters and is currently on sale right now for $45, so under the $50 mark. They do also have their non-XPAC versions that I believe are in a $30 to $40 range depending, so if you want to save even more money, check those out, but I do really like this one. It's a VX42 XPAC with a really nice orange ripstop interior. Organization is pretty simple. You have one main compartment here with an extra flap to put a phone or sunglasses, 2 smaller mesh side pockets. Then on the exterior, you have one other pocket on the back side and one sort of split pocket on the front side. It's also worth mentioning that it uses YKK zippers, and the main zipper here is an AquaGuard zip, which is great to see. I would have loved to have seen AquaGuard on the other zips as well, but I kind of get it. They did inlay it within the fabric a little bit, so at least there was a little bit of extra protection from the elements. I do notice though, it's not really advertised on their site or on Amazon or anything. The front face is a VX42 XPAC, but the back side is still some sort of, Cordura nylon or something along those lines. I couldn't find any information about what the material is that they use on the backside. It strictly says XPAC, but this backside definitely isn't XPAC. Now, this isn't some high-end, ultra luxury type of sling or anything, but definitely very respectable. I love the new logo. I think if you're on a tight budget, this would do you just fine. Definitely so happy to see that they're improving and iterating on their products. Excited to see what they have in store for the future. Next up, I've got an old favorite and classic of mine. If you've been watching the channel for a few years, this is the Wayfinder Flux Cardholder Wallet. This was in my everyday carry for a couple of years. I still do really love it, but there are a handful of wallets in that $50 to $100 range I've been really enjoying lately, so it's been out of the rotation for now, but still definitely in a top 5 favorite for me out of all the wallets I've tested over the years for this channel. Really simple card holder design. You have one slot on each side and then one center slot for bills or more cards. I think the main feature and draw here is this fabric. It's a 420D nylon with a polymer coating. So that means it's heat and UV resistant, so it won't wear out over time if it sits in the sun. If you're putting this up on your dash or something while you're driving. It's also hydrophobic and waterproof, which is a really nice touch. It's stated to hold up to 11 cards. I think 4 to 6 is a much better sweet spot, plus a little bit of cash. A little bit of a bonus or bias, depending on how you look at it. Since I first tried this wallet years ago, the owner has actually reached out to me and we've talked quite a few times over the years. Seems like a really great guy, just kind of a one-man operation there. The level of care and detail he puts into developing this different products has been fascinating to hear about. So that's a nice little bonus if you want to support some smaller companies. He's doing great work. He knows so much about these different fabrics and textiles. It's fascinating, and it's just nice to see some care and intentionality put into the design and the development of the products. If you're looking for a pocket knife on a budget, there are a few better options than Civivi out there. I've been singing their praises for years. I first tried the Elementum. I've tried a few others over the past few years, and they're just so consistent consistently great at that lower budget price point. The Civivi Mini Praxis is probably my pick for under $50. It is an excellent blade. It's 6 inches in total length with a 3-inch drop point blade. It uses that classic Civivi flipper tab and liner lock combo. I think it's always really smooth and kind of makes it nice and fidgety. My model here has the Damascus blade and Jaborsha wood handle, but there is an alternative option that I would probably recommend for you. There's one on Amazon right now that's only $26 that uses a D2 steel and G10 scales. That is an excellent combo at that price point, and Civivi is just such a consistent brand with their quality in these lower price ranges. I would definitely recommend picking that one up. You know, if you really like the style of this, I definitely love it, but I'm not sure if it's worth double the price in terms of value. So go with the cheaper one unless you just really like these wooden scales and the Damascus type of vibe and look with this. Next up on the list is a really unique multi-tool that's only $20. This is the Roundhouse tool from Fix Manufacturing. The first and most notable thing is the shape. You know, it's just a little flat rectangle. So I think packability, you know, in a sling bag or something is, you know, maximum for that compared to some bigger and thicker multi-tools. It just folds out here. You have 3 different screwdriver bits. I believe it's a number 2 and a number 3 Phillips head, and then a flathead screwdriver. On top of that, you have a little bottle opener, pry bar type of thing, but in the case that it flips into, you have a few extra things. You have this little hex slot here to fit 1/4-inch bits, which I think is pretty nice because you get this extra leverage with the way that this is shaped. And then you have a little box wrench here that covers, you know, a pretty wide assortment of sizes. It's made of steel, so it's not titanium or anything fancy like that, but definitely a great little option if you're looking for a small, compact, sort of cheap Bitdriver to throw into your bag. So far, I've been pretty impressed with it. Next on the list, we've got some phone protection. This is the Sheath case from Caudate, as well as their Mezzo AirPods Pro case. Caudate is actually nice enough to sponsor this week's video as well, so a huge thanks to them. You all know I usually go caseless on my phone, but I always keep a case on my AirPods. Caudate reached out earlier this year and sent me out a few products to test and try out. I was really impressed with them. I know I get a lot of asks and questions about potential phone cases, and even though I don't use one, I know I am in the vast minority there. So I wanted to still bring this up and talk about it because the quality is excellent. You probably already noticed there aren't any big gaudy logos all over the phone case. They're just really intentional with how they design and develop and produce products, you know, focusing on simple, more minimalist type of designs and focusing on the function and the quality of the materials that they're using and the manufacturing of those items. The big pull and draw for me on both cases is this great grippy texture that they have. It's a proprietary polymer called Shocklight. It just has this really nice, almost 3D grip to it. It feels great in the hand. It's drop tested to 2 meters. The case itself is really slim and thin, so you don't have to worry about excess bulk. The side buttons really look and feel great. I know I said this last time I talked about it, but they honestly feel a little bit better than they do caseless, which is kind of crazy to me. Really solid choice if you're in the market for a new iPhone case. On the flip side of that is the Mezzo case for the AirPods Pro. It's that same sort of grippy texture, which is a plus for me. I like having the case on here, and I like that grippy texture because my cat will knock it off of surfaces all the time, so this adds some extra protection. I do also really like that this is a sit flat design on the bottom. I thought that was super clever. It's a really subtle but nice touch. These are designed for the 2nd gen AirPods Pro as well, so you have a little cutout for the speaker and the lanyard hole, as well as the charging light. Works really well. Both of these also work great with MagSafe stuff just fine. I've been using this on a MagSafe charger exclusively since I got it. All my MagSafe tripods and stuff work perfectly fine with the Sheath case. All in all, just 2 really great cases. I really appreciate the brand ethos as well, focusing on removing excess and focusing on quality. You know, that's usually what I'm all about, so I'm here for it. If you want to pick up the Sheath or the Mezzo case for yourself, be sure to check the links down below in the description. Huge thanks again to Caudate for sponsoring this week's video. Seems to fall on deaf ears most of the time, but I have been singing the praises of these sort of retro style Casio digital watches for years now. and I'm not going to stop anytime soon. Most of my Casio collection is under $50 and would fit into this list. I took some time to try and figure out which one I should include. I actually almost picked up the Casio A500 just because it felt like a good excuse to add one to the collection, but instead I went with the classic, the Casio World Time Watch AE1200. Such a classic and cool design. You know, I'm not someone that really wants to get a smartwatch and have notifications on my wrist. I'm interested in the health tracking aspects, but just don't really want any of the other smartwatch capabilities. You know, these classic Casios get complimented all the time when I wear them, which is a nice little touch, but they're just super functional. They're cheap. You don't have to baby them because they're $20. So if something were to happen, you know, it's pretty easily replaceable if needed, but I've yet to break one in my years of wearing them. This is a great starter though if you're looking to get into this category. You have a stopwatch, you have 5 different alarms, you know, you have the world time function where you can check different time zone times, you know, really easily without having to switch a bunch of settings. You're definitely going to be noticed by the Casio nerds out there if you wear it out in the wild. It's such a fun way to add to your style and reduce some of that digital clutter. On the flip side of my longtime favorite World Time Watch, we have the Olight O-Clip, which is a new pickup from Olight that I've been testing out and have been really happy with. It's a tiny little clip light. I've been enjoying these sort of funky shaped lights for a while as I get into the world of flashlights. It's 300 lumens, so, you know, usually pretty bright for most stuff, but, you know, depending, you might want to look into some higher powered options. 300 is usually plenty for me though. On top of that, you also have a 4 lumen red light if you're trying to go around in the dark and not disturb anyone. If you're using it camping or something, that's a great little trick. You know, use the red light, you usually won't wake up the people around you. It's only 1 ounce or around 30 grams. I do really like that these clip lights, when they are a little bit lighter, I feel like it adds to the versatility. I have my one other titanium light with a clip. It's just a bit heavy for some use cases where you might want a clip light, so this is kind of a nice, really light alternative. It's about 2 inches long. It charges via USB-C. You also have a magnet on the back of the clip as well for a little bit of added functionality. Just a great little tiny light. You know, throw it in your bag. It's going to be way better than your phone flashlight, and not very expensive either. I think they're $30. I've been really enjoying testing it the past month or so. Next up is the Gerber Prybrid Utility. This is just a little utility knife, box cutter knife with a bit of extra added functionality. I've had this for quite some time, and it normally lives on the table behind me here, just to be able to grab boxes real quick if I don't want to damage, you know, my nicer knives or something. I do really like having these box cutter or utility blades because they're cheap and really easily swappable if needed. You know, still not quite the same as having a proper pocket knife, but just a nice addition, you know, if you have a few to choose from. I've been really happy with this though. It's pretty low priced. You know, Gerber stuff has always been a bit hit or miss for me. I've either really liked it or kind of hated it, and this one definitely falls into the really like category. There's really not much to it. You have the box cutter utility blade, but on the back side you have a little bit of added functionality with a pry bar and then a little nail puller and then a bottle opener and a flathead screwdriver from the pry bar. I couldn't really find out what this exterior material is, but it does feel nice. I'm not sure if it's a coated metal or a plastic or something. It feels pretty weighty. It's about 3 ounces, but you have some good grip on here, which I do appreciate. If you've been shopping around for box cutters for a little while and want some added functionality, I've been really happy with this one. It'll probably be no surprise to anyone that watches all of my regular EDC updates, but next up we have the Jibbin Key Organizer. I tried a ton of different key organizers over the past few years to kind of determine my ultimate favorite, and the Jibbin is still in the championship seat. I've yet to find anything that I like more. Quickly going over some of the materials, it is an Italian top grain leather. Feels pretty nice. The patina has been going well on this one, especially in this lighter chestnut brown compared to the black one that I use a lot as well. All of the metal components are stainless steel. Those feel and look great and have held up well over time for me. The toolless aspect is so pleasant though. This might not be a huge deal if you're someone that never switches out your keys. but I find myself doing it a lot, mostly because of YouTube here, but I also, take a key out to give to a pet sitter if we're going out of town, something like that. I feel like I'm constantly pulling apart my key organizers to add keys, take away keys. It gets very annoying when you have to get screwdrivers out, and it's a whole big process. This makes it really simple and nice. Just has this little square component here, twists open, you can take the keys out, pull them on, it holds up to 9 keys. After that, you just snap it in place. Super simple, classic sort of design. I like that the leather covers up the hardware on the front hinge. Under $50 for sure. If you want to go with something that is even lower price, that is still, about 90% as good as this, the Orbit Key Active Key Organizer, also really great. And I think those are only $20, but I would say this is worth the extra 20 for the better materials and the nicer experience overall if you switch your keys out. But both are two great contenders at two little bit different price points here. Next item up is the Huckberry Cruisers sunglasses. These have accidentally been making a ton of appearances lately on my videos. Not really intentionally to talk about them repeatedly, but they were too good of a fit for this video topic to pass up. The Cruisers have quickly become one of my favorite pairs of sunglasses, and definitely my favorite under $50. I think it's a great value. One, they're fully polarized sunglasses, which is great and kind of tougher to find in some of the cheaper varieties, but these are just such great classic styled sunglasses. I think it's a pretty great universal fit for a lot of different face shapes. They're just under $40, I believe. They have scratch resistant lenses. They look great. No brainer if you're in the market for some sunglasses. But that is going to wrap it up for the list today. There are a ton of others that I wanted to include here, so I might be adding and doing a series. I know you've all been asking about some more budget EDC gear content. I am happy to oblige. I both use and test out a ton of different things, so happily make this a series. If it does well, let me know what you think down below in the comments. Let me know what your best budget piece of EDC gear is. Let's get that discussion going as well. Thank you all so much for watching though, and I'll talk to you in the next one.